In the 2020s, Roman Reigns established himself as one of the greatest talkers of the era.
I just really feel like this is what I'm hoping, hands down, the best work I've ever done.
His career didn't start that way though, as Roman struggled to find his voice and the audience's acceptance following his initial run with the Shield.
The match. Well, y'all can't hear me or something?
His personality, charisma, speaking ability, and character arc has evolved leaps and bounds in that time.
Y'all keep whatting me. I'm gonna smash all of y'all like I would smash Steve Austin.
And for this video, we want to document this evolution by examining how Reigns' on-screen persona improved as the years progressed.
It's cause you're not feeling oozy?
We'll also touch on some key storylines and rivalries that got him to this point.
You didn't want to do the Stardust thing, so what happened? You ran away. Started a company and a promotion that you couldn't get over in. 20 plus years of missionary might have been good enough for you, but it wasn't good enough for Nikki Bella.
From the Shield to the Big Dog, to the Bloodline, to the OTC.
Bill, let's remind you real quick. We brought you back here to entertain the 30 to 40-year-old virgins that live with their mom and dad.
Today, we highlight Roman Reigns' greatest hits and misses on the microphone.
You want Seth Rollins money or Tribal Chief money?
Roman didn't set the world alight during his initial developmental run as a layer key in FCW.
Sonya, I have one goal, to be the Florida heavyweight champion. I am the future of this company. And for some reason, James Bronson and Peter Orloff wanted to try and take that all away from me. They put my life, my livelihood, my health on the line. And for that, I say to them, salute yourself.
Or when he adopted the Roman Reigns name in NXT.
It's all about my time. It's my schedule. Who wears the big watch? What time is it? Tell me what time it is. What, you can't read clocks? It's Roman Reigns' time, and you should feel very fortunate right now.
He had the background, the athletic ability, and the look though, but it was a while before he'd find his voice. Reigns was heavily protected upon debuting on the main roster with the Shield in late 2012. He would come in for the hot tags and clean house, but was for the most part tight-lipped in the promo department.
Roman Reigns.
He was, however, typically given the final word on the group's talking segments, whereby Roman uttered the Shield's catchphrase.
Believe in the Shield. This is the future. Believe that. Believe in the Shield. Believe in the Shield! We're gonna teach you to believe in the Shield. I'm gonna teach you individually to believe in me. We're gonna have our own Game of Thrones. Believe that.
Reigns later scrapped Believe in the Shield to solely use Believe That once the trio split, and he went off as a singles competitor in the summer of 2014.
And you can bet your ass that you can believe that. I can, I will, and I believe that. Believe that!
Hey, wait a minute! Oh, Roman Reigns!
He was getting better at speaking with each passing promo, and there were certainly some decent ones along the way.
I take my rightful place at the head of the table. Believe that. Sometimes, the all needs help from the one. Thank you so much. I've never had the opportunity to see a marriage between a Bulgarian Sasquatch and a mail-order bride. The Halloween spirit, you're out here hanging out with SpongeBob SquarePants and his best friend Patrick. You even stand like him. I was gonna dress up as a stupid idiot, but they didn't have any more Jericho costumes, man.
The problem was the dialogue. This was during the height of the scripted promo era, where every line had to be repeated word for word, with few exceptions. This meant Roman was a constant victim of shoddy scripts. In the Shield, his words were brief and to the point, but now he had to cut lengthy monologues like everyone else in the main event scene. It didn't help that fans felt the company was jamming him down their throats by over-pushing him.
I thought the Irish liked to fight. I guess I was mistaken. And I'm here right now to be the first man to declare at the Royal Rumble match. I mean, I've had just some crappy promos that, you get in early, you don't have any equity. I want to say something right now, I ain't saying it, you know what I mean? But 10 years ago, Vince is like, you're saying this and it's highlighted, then you're going to say it. And I said some crazy stuff.
Roman has spoken about how difficult it was trying to find his groove as a top babyface.
Those were weird performance waters to navigate because... Yeah. But we're just in a place that the fans were just doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
And we were a little more, not combative, but we would hold friction with that and not necessarily go with the flow when it feels like we should probably just go with the flow here.
It was clear he had the it factor, but Vince McMahon's misguided booking and creative direction had fans second-guessing Roman, hence the negative reactions. You could tell when the chairman had personally written out Reigns' promos too, as archaic references to beanstalks were hopelessly regurgitated by poor Roman.
Little old Roman, he climbed that beanstalk. And would you like to know what he found? You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of sufferin, succotash, son. You're just sitting there yapping, yap, yap, yap. I thought Irishmen had potatoes. It looks like you just smuggling some tater tots. How's that tater tot?
Brock Lesnar didn't show up for work today. What kind of trouble is he in? What kind of penalty is there gonna be for him, huh? Don't answer, I will, because there's not gonna be, because he's Vince's boy.
I don't care what y'all say. This is my boy and I'm happy for you. And I just want to say congrats, man.
In response to the boos and jeers, Reigns professed the new short-lived catchphrase.
I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a good guy. I'm the guy. They're gonna call me the guy because I beat you. I'm going out there and I'm just gonna be the guy that beat Seth Rollins.
Roman had just won the first WWE Championship of his career. He was the company's top babyface, but got booed every week.
The match. Wait, y'all can't hear me or something? Nah, hey, Chicago, this ain't boring, baby. This is real life.
All the dudes chanting that I can't wrestle, calm down, take a sip of your beer and shut your mouth.
In the run-up to facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania 33, Reigns stole a line from Taker by saying how WWE was now his yard.
Because this is my yard. I'm the big dog here. And this is my yard now.
You know, that's a heck of a motto.
Roman's words would prove true as he defeated the Phenom at Mania in a poorly received main event. The next night, Reigns received one of the most negative crowd responses ever heard in WWE.
This is my yard now.
He spoke just one sentence, but despite the nuclear heel heat, the company kept Roman face. Reigns was the quote-unquote big dog, but the fan sentiment didn't change. Roman as the big dog was like what would have happened if Rocky Maivia or the ringmaster Steve Austin were given main event pushes in their failed gimmicks, only to be handed pages of scripted words they'd never say, but would have to recite for 20 minutes every week.
I used to say this was my yard, but this is our yard.
It's proof you can have the right guy in the right place, but at the mercy of the devil's hand. Nowhere was Roman's failed babyface run called into question more than when the previous top guy, John Cena, tore Reigns a new one on the August 28, 2017 Raw.
They boo you because, first of all, you suck.
According to them, so does he, but that's okay. You want a gold medal.
Cena had been there in the same position as Roman, being forced down fans' throats in the prior decade. Only Reigns was a lot further behind where John was at the same stage.
Yeah, specific promo with John Cena.
Oh, yeah. That was one of them. Yeah.
You blanked?
Trying to think back. Yeah, I believe I did, yeah. And second of all,
Go ahead, find it. Go ahead.
Cena's words didn't only cut through Roman, they were an indictment of how WWE had failed to book a top babyface to replace John.
he's a part-time and fake-ass.
I'm still here because you can't do your job.
It was a wake-up call that the company still didn't act on. The pandemic in 2020 saw no fans in arenas for an extended period. That meant there was no upside to booking box office attractions like Brock Lesnar. This in turn left Brock's advocate Paul Heyman without an on-screen role. Meanwhile, Reigns was in creative limbo after taking time off due to the global virus. So pairing Roman and Heyman together as a heel duo gave WWE the type of weekly intrigue it hadn't had in years.
That is not just a prediction. That's a spoiler. Believe that.
Roman Reigns just mangling a steel chair over the body cover. Cover now on the monster, a hook in the leg.
I made you! You ain't a monster unless I'm here!
Paul was the wise man who devoutly worshipped the tribal chief with blind devotion. Thus began the Bloodline storyline, where Reigns sought to get members of his Anoa'i Samoan family on his side.
Our family relies on me being the tribal chief. That's who I am in this life.
With no fans in attendance, the storytelling shifted to a more cinematic presentation. The words hit deeper, the body language more telling. For the first time, Roman Reigns felt authentic. He and Heyman were directly calling the shots in crafting the story, which was evident in how fantastic it played out. Finally, it was the artist being the artist, and not verbiage written on paper by someone else. Instead, Reigns took control of his destiny. Previously, he was critical and analytical of everything he did as the big dog, but that was after the performance. Now he had the stroke, with Heyman in tow, to where Roman could take that granular detail and use it to take his character to the next level in real time.
Roman is a detail freak in the best possible way. He is meticulous in the way that he approaches anytime he's on screen. He thinks through every facial expression, every reaction, every pause, every word.
It was a masterclass in storytelling that Heyman compared to the acclaimed HBO dramas like Oz, The Sopranos, and The Wire.
Everything we did was by design. Everything was thought, overthought. The alternatives were thought about. Is this the absolute epitome? Is this the apex of where we can take this, and what message does it send, or messages does it send out? And he could not have played this persona earlier because he was too young to do it. He needed to weather the storms to become the tribal chief. We grew up with him, almost like he was a child star, in that we saw him from his young days, fresh out of college, and he grew into this tribal chief.
During his previous run, Roman struggled to be accepted by the audience, but now as the head of the table and tribal chief of his family, he demanded acknowledgement, even if it meant running through his cousins, the Usos. Roman essentially beat them to the point where they had to acknowledge him. Reigns continued to manipulate, corrupt, and tyrannize Jimmy and Jay past the point of submission.
And if you don't fall in line, your ass is out of the family. You will never take my place at the head of the table.
You brought me all the way out here. You brought the chief all the way out here, huh?
Tell the whole world that I am the head of the table, the tribal chief, the boss. All you had to do was acknowledge me.
Your cousin is out.
You're out. You're out.
Oh, no, my goodness.
All you had to do were to say the words, acknowledge me as the tribal chief. If they don't respect you, they don't respect me. If they don't respect me, they don't respect our family. You will fall in line, and acknowledge me.
It all made for great TV and gave Roman more character development in 8 weeks than he'd had for the previous 8 years in WWE.
You understand my position, Jimmy? Okay. Doesn't matter anyways. Wise man, is my tribal chief? Who is the tribal chief? You are my tribal chief. Do I gotta open my own doors now? No, my apologies, my tribal chief. Would that man play games with me? Why would you play games with me? Wise man. You're the wise man when I say you're the wise man. We the ones, right? Yeah, we the ones. Bloodline. I'm number one.
He now spoke with such a comfortable level of effortless arrogance and charisma. Reigns had finally put it all together, and once he did, there was no stopping him.
Miami. Acknowledge me.
We weren't looking for a catchphrase. It just happened.
Respect my work. Respect what I do for this business. Give me my flowers.
Now the whole world can acknowledge me.
I just really feel like this is what I'm hoping, hands down, the best work I've ever done.
When he finally got the opportunity to speak his mind, explore different parts of his personality, and project those onto the screen, it became the most organic version of Roman Reigns that we've ever gotten in WWE.
The WWE fans were like, this is what we've been waiting for.
Brother, yes, and all the pieces together, it's amazing. Beautiful picture. You really arrived and you're so proud of it.
Roman defeated countless opponents on the way to his record-breaking 1,316-day world title reign. Reigns saw off foes such as Daniel Bryan, Edge, and Cesaro in quality matches while verbally shredding them during both the build to each match and even during the action itself.
I love this business. I don't need it. I do it because everybody needs me. I will beat him down so bad that we're going to have to put him on a Legends contract.
When I got it, you don't get out. You feel me? This vice grip right here.
When you prep at a 12, the 10 comes easy. I'm going to smash him. I'm going to stack him. I'm going to pin him 1, 2, 3. Told the whole world, I say, smash him, stack him, pin him 1, 2, 3.
I'm squeezing the life out of him. My arm is extra big. I'm a heavyweight. I'm the only man here. I lay on this little bitch all night long.
I'm the tribal chief around here, the head of the table.
I got a lot of responsibility. Get your ass down.
I take one vacation and SmackDown sucks. It's almost as bad as Raw.
Reigns then encountered his old rival, John Cena. This would be a real test to see how much better this version of Roman Reigns truly was. Roman may have defeated Cena in their previous clash in the ring, but John absolutely destroyed Reigns on the microphone. This time round, however, Roman was on a mission to punish Cena with his words.
It's like missionary position every single night. 20 plus years of missionary might have been good enough for you, but it wasn't good enough for Nikki Bella.
Cena's not in the ring.
We've already seen Mr. Missionary tonight. I'm gonna smash you.
Movie executives, Hollywood, I apologize, but I'm gonna hurt this man.
The likes of Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Logan Paul, and LA Knight all fell to Reigns. Few, if any, wrestlers could get a leg up on the tribal chief during this period, not in the ring or on the mic. All the while, the head of the table continued to big himself up at every turn.
Keep the head of the table's name out your mouth.
What I'm about to tell you, Paul told me years ago.
You, sir, are the right guy in the right place at the wrong time.
You are the right guy in the right place at the wrong time.
And what? Cosplay a redneck version of my cousin? Everything Triple H said up here is true. Except that. I'm the greatest of all time, kid.
You will always be my favorite number 2.
I'm tired of being humble. I'm tired of letting people think they got a chance. The tribal chief is head and shoulders above everybody.
As long as I want it, it's mine. This whole industry, this whole business runs off of me.
It was an old friend that really put Reigns' entire story arc into perspective. When Seth Rollins turned on Roman and The Shield in 2014, it set something off in Roman that ultimately manifested into the character he became today. Reigns never wanted to be betrayed like this again, so he demanded unquestioned loyalty from the bloodline. In 2022, Rollins used this against Reigns, as well as the fact that Roman had never beaten Seth when there was a title on the line, something that still hadn't changed after this feud. Rollins didn't leave with a championship due to the DQ decision, but he did win the mental game, leaving the story open-ended to be revisited at a later date.
But I'll never forgive you for what you did to us. I hate you.
Tear to the spine!
You must be sleeping under a rock or something. You don't understand what's happening here. The tribal chief equals God mode now. Did John Cena write that promo for you, huh? Are you gonna say the same stuff?
He won't allow me to let go. He won't allow me.
Let go, please!
Roman and Brock Lesnar had traded a number of wins in their previous encounters during the Big Dog days, but this time it was completely one-sided. With the help of the wise man, Heyman betrayed Lesnar. Reigns buried Brock once and for all, to where now Roman also held the WWE title, becoming the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, all the while throwing shade at the new and improved cowboy version of the Beast.
Suplex City doesn't exist. This is the island of relevancy. Tonight's the first night that I get to see Brock Lesnar face to face since I smashed him in Madison Square Garden. And I whooped Brock Lesnar so bad he's tweeting now. Good God. A big dumb farmer, huh? You just sign it without even reading it? What's wrong with you, man? I'm gonna make it personal.
because it's always been personal. These people, these are all my people because they acknowledge me. He's gonna acknowledge me. So I went to WrestleMania and I smashed Cowboy Brock.
At this point, it was more clear than ever. Everyone acknowledged the head of the table tribal chief. He was the one, the needle mover in God mode on the island of relevancy, having smashed everybody.
I'm the head of the table. I'm the tribal chief. Your tribal chief.
Then acknowledge your tribal chief.
You there, sitting at home. Acknowledge me.
I'm the last needle mover because I am constantly operating at God mode. Y'all keep whatting me. I'm gonna smash all of y'all like I would smash Steve Austin. For over 2 years now, I've been hyping opponents, and the only thing that happens is we get to the match and they get smashed. Your tribal chief's here. You should know I'm the GOAT. I'm the greatest of all time. I done did it all. I smashed them all. I'm your tribal chief. I'm the head of the table because I smashed everyone.
Sami Zayn's association with the Bloodline brought out a different side to Reigns. This is what most people consider the greatest period in the Bloodline story and one of the most important for Roman's character arc. Up to this point, Reigns had been a brutal heel in the story, so to see him smile and welcome the presence of Sami made for great TV.
It's because you're not feeling Uzi?
It was interesting seeing how the other members reacted to Zayn, especially Jay. Reigns had battered and emotionally scarred the Usos to ensure they were loyal and acknowledged him as the head of their family, the complete opposite of how Sami got in the group. Zayn still had to prove himself multiple times, but seeing him get so chummy with Jimmy and Roman only made Jay jealous. Sami was on the cusp of being considered family, but he was only ever one mistake away from being admonished by Reigns.
You think you're me? Do you think you're me? Do you think you're me? Do you want to be me? Do you want to be the tribal chief?
You can't follow directions. Explain to me why I have to treat you like a child.
I give you opportunity after opportunity. I let you in my family, and this is what you do. This is the respect you show me.
To go from honorary Uso to Sami Uso, Zayn had to destroy his former best friend Kevin Owens. But this was where Sami realized where his true allegiance lied, and it wasn't with Roman and the Bloodline. The fans got what they wanted, seeing Zayn stand up for himself and challenge Reigns for the undisputed titles.
This ring is yours when you're with the Bloodline. Otherwise, go and do jackass shit.
Sami came up short. His loyalty was forgotten by Roman and Jimmy, but not by Jay. Jay was won over by Zayn after realizing all Sami had done for the group. But this once again formed cracks between both Jay and Jimmy's relationship with Roman until the inevitable occurred. Jay had shown us how he could stand on his own in the past, but the question was, could he now do it by defeating Roman to take Reigns' place as the tribal chief? His twin Jimmy would stand in the way of this, so he could protect Jay from ever becoming like Roman.
Is this a check? Get this guy out of here.
This is what the Bloodline does. Runs this business. Talk to me. Acknowledge me!
You can't be a tribal chief and a twin at the same time.
He's gonna do what he always does. He'll fall in line.
Acknowledge me!
Oh! That's what you get when you treat people like crap.
England's the worst, the dumbest place of all time. Bunch of idiots.
Reigns wrestling Jay in the summer of 2023 was where the main crux of the Bloodline arc ended. However, the tribal chief still held a world title, so with Roman's reign, there was still one more story to finish. If Sami Zayn couldn't finish his story because there was already a greater tale being told, then surely it was that of Cody Rhodes, someone who upon returning to WWE made it his mission to win the WWE Championship so he could finally bring his belt to the Rhodes family. Cody gave off huge main character vibes in the run-up to Mania, all the while Roman had remained that seemingly unbeatable final boss. Despite this, now more than ever, fans were convinced that the tribal chief's dominance would come to an end, and it was going to happen at WrestleMania 39. Rhodes cut riveting promos during the build-up. Every segment meant something. There hadn't been such a big fight feeling going into the main event of WrestleMania in years. Fans could picture the ending before it even happened. Only it never did happen. At least not yet.
Have you ever even competed for one of these? I mean, what we out here do? You out here running for governor? Hey, anybody got a kid that needs to be kissed? Do you want an autograph? You didn't want to do the Stardust thing, so what happened? You ran away. Started a company and a promotion that you couldn't get over in.
It's the way you cut a promo. It's funny. I'm funny to you, like a tribal clown.
We are the best. This isn't a promo. I'm not, I didn't look in the mirror in the shower and come up with this stuff. This is as real as it gets. And the man I beat tonight, his dad told me that 10 years ago.
Cody's return match with Roman was set for WrestleMania 40, but The Rock being in his cousin's corner added a different dynamic compared to the previous year. Meanwhile, Reigns' old foe Seth Rollins stood next to Cody.
You can't be running around here for 2 years in your wife's clothes and say you're the guy.
Get this bum out of here, will you? Just get this bum out of here already, huh?
You gonna let this cross-dresser make your future decisions for you? You want Seth Rollins money or Tribal Chief money?
Fans were once again invested in seeing Rhodes finally capture the WWE title. Rock's presence created huge buzz and made things even more interesting, but at the end of the day it was still about Cody finishing his story, with the family ties being an even bigger factor this time round.
You were only a chapter in my book. Nobody cares about your story. Nobody cares about you finishing the story. Hey, come on. We're gonna smash those fools. Acknowledge me.
All in all, it made for a fantastic build. As the stage was set, Reigns had proved for over 1,000 days you shouldn't bet against him, but only one of wrestling's royal families could prevail.
You're irrelevant, just like your dad.
Fair.
Somebody come up with a plan to take this from me now. That's what I want you to understand. This is a vice script. Acknowledge us.
And it ultimately did, which marked the end of Roman's historic title reign that changed WWE as we knew it.
And a Roman crossroads! Kick out! Extremely effective crossroads.
In 2026, Paul Heyman spoke to Chris Van Vliet and went in depth on the inspiration for Reigns as the Bloodline's tribal chief.
What was the brainchild behind the tribal chief?
Apocalypse Now. Marlon Brando's portrayal of Kurtz. A warrior of such magnificence that he takes over an entire island. Well, it's not the island of Samoa, but it can be the island of relevancy. In that he takes over the entire island, everyone on that island. Well, let's say that's members of the Bloodline and the Wise Man, and at some point, Sami Zayn. But all the constituents on the island look to this general. Well, let's not call him a general. Let's call him a tribal chief. For food, shelter, security, sustainability, and life. And they all rely on the general, the tribal chief, for that. And they all worship. But let's not use the word worship. Let's use the word acknowledge. So they all acknowledge their tribal chief for the many things that he brings them: life, security, food, shelter. And at some point, it's not just the responsibility and the obligation and the accountability, it's the burden. It's the burden that every constituent on that island relies on the general, relies on the tribal chief for food, shelter, security, safety. And that burden weighs heavy. And the leader becomes resentful of the very constituents that worship/acknowledge him. So the burden of being tribal chief weighs down on Roman Reigns to where he starts abusing Jey Uso. He starts abusing Jimmy Uso. He takes his frustrations out on Sami Zayn, and he makes life uncomfortable for all those around him who choose to acknowledge him.
Seth Rollins remained a thorn and loose end for Reigns. This version of Roman had never beaten Seth. The tribal chief even lost his multi-year title reign because he chose to smash Rollins in the back with the Shield chair instead of finishing off Cody. However, CM Punk's return in 2023 put him smack bang in the middle of Roman and Seth's rivalry. Punk helped create the Shield back in 2012, so before Reigns and Rollins could lock horns one-on-one again, they had to contend with Punk.
I took us to the level that we are here today. I made this place better than we found it. I'm the one that made us desirable to Netflix. I'm the one that took us into billion-dollar deals. Tell me what you've done, huh? Hey, buddy, this is TV today, Junior. Let's go.
Thus ended Paul Heyman's journey with Roman, the wise man who'd shown the most unwavering loyalty to Reigns, of which the head of the table demanded from the bloodline. Heyman was best friends with Punk first, but in the end, Paul went off with Rollins as Seth defeated Punk and Roman at WrestleMania 41. Reigns was simply the OTC, the one, the original, the only tribal chief, on his own, all by himself.
And you see, I'm not just the original tribal chief, I am the only tribal chief.
12 months later, Reigns defeated Punk at Mania 42 in a 5-star classic. Roman had won his first world title in 2 years. In some respects, Roman was an outlier in modern WWE. The fans loved him, but in many ways he was still the same ruthless tribal chief as before. This was important as the character stuck to the same values and principles that got him to the dance. He transcended the idea of face and heel. The character stood on his own.
I'd watch how you talk about my family. We're the only reason that you had a show and a company to come back to. Don't ever forget that. But I will never forget 10 years ago or so when you go on your little best friend's podcast, running your mouth, making my life harder than it ever should have been.
Bill, let's remind you real quick. We brought you back here to entertain the 30 to 40-year-old virgins that live with their mom and dad.
You, that title on your waist, it's an embarrassment. You're a try-hard that's making us all look terrible because at the end of the day, you're old.
Reigns' win over Rollins at SummerSlam 2026 finally put to bed the original Shield story. They had smacked each other in the back with the chair countless times since the original betrayal, but now it was over, they could finally touch fists in peace, recognizing what they had done together and what it all meant at the finale.
You want to know how I know you're number 2? Because after all these years, he still needs a Money in the Bank briefcase to become champion. What if you do beat me at SummerSlam? What's gonna happen? You're gonna carry it for a couple months and get hurt again?
Brotherhood bleeds loyalty, bleeds betrayal, finds all the way up in the end.
We knew Ambrose was a wild hair, but we knew we was the guys that was going to change this place. We're the pioneers of this place. When people left, when people were scared, when they ran off, we held the fort down.
The big dog lost his shield in the form of a chair shot, became the tribal chief of the pack, heading the table set for him by the wise man. Until his final bark, Roman Reigns will be acknowledged as the one. Now if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our similar video on wrestlers breaking character to secretly communicate. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.